Oh, there it goes. Hey. Hi, everyone. My name is Josh Alessi. I'm an environmental specialist with the Washoe Environmental Protection Department, and I've been working with the Washoe Tribe for just over 6 months now. I'm actually originally from Orange County in Southern California, and after I got my bachelor's degree in environmental science, I wanted to move somewhere near Lake Tahoe because I love it up there, and I wanted to do a job where I can protect the environment. So I started looking, and I was luckily able to find a job with the Washoe Tribe. And yeah, today I'm going to be talking to you about the Myalawata Restoration Project. So Myalawata is actually Washoe for Meeks Creek, which is the creek that runs through the Meeks Meadow. And what's going on with this area is it needs restoration because lodgepole pines are encroaching in the area, and they're sucking up all the water out of the meadow, and they're turning it into a forest. So this is actually a picture right here of Matalawata, and you can see it's being encroached by lodgepole pines. So really, that's the goal of this project. Is we want to remove the conifers, and hopefully, the hope is that the water table will increase, and then we can bring back conditions for many culturally significant plants to come back to the area. So just to give you some background into the Washoe Tribe and the WEDP, the Washoe Tribe has 4 communities. There's the Dresserville community, which is the largest community, and they're in Nevada. There's the Carson community, they're also in Nevada. There's the Stewart community, they're in Nevada. And then lastly, the Woodfords community, they're just past the state border in California. And there's approximately 1,400 enrolled members right now in the Washoe Tribe. And currently, we have 11 WEDP staff members, but we're just looking to hire 3 more. So we'll probably have 3 more new hires with us pretty soon here. And we're also working on 20 different grants that include air quality, water quality, restoration, invasive species, and noxious weeds. So just to give you some background too, where Malawata is located, it's located on the west shore of Lake Tahoe, which you can see right here. And it's in Dorado County. And this is a really important place. You know, the Washoe people have been found to be original inhabitants of this area. And it's the center of the Washoe homelands. You can see from this other map, the Washoe homelands extend all the way up to Honey Lake and down south to Sonora Pass, with the Lake Tahoe being the center of the homelands. And this is one of the few projects that we actually have going on that's really in the Lake Tahoe Basin. And we're trying to establish more programs in this area because it is so important to the Washoe Tribe. Let's see. So now just to give you some history of what's going on with this project, and as my title alluded to this project has literally been years in the making. So this project has been going on for 20 years, and it's been a long time coming. And yeah, finally, we're really making progress. And this project really started in 1997 with the Memorandum of Understanding, which was signed with the Washoe Tribe and the U.S. Forest Service, the Lake Tahoe Management Unit. And this is really important. It was like the first time that the Washoe Tribe really was given recognition by the U.S. government that they were original inhabitants of this land. And this really started the project off when we started thinking about, you know, what can we do in this area to protect this land. After that, then in 2012, NEPA was done by the U.S. Forest Service. Later on, the tribe got funding through the California Tahoe Conservancy. This is the first time the tribe got funding for this project. This was through Proposition 1. And this prop was really to implement the planning for this project. We did, with this funding, we did CEQA, and then we also did a culturally significant vegetation enhancement management plan. And yeah, it really helped to really show the planning for this project. And that funding's done right now. We don't have, that grant's ended, so we don't have funding from that anymore. And after that, we signed the stewardship agreement with the U.S. Forest Service and Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit. And this was a like really important agreement too in 2019. That was like very historic thing. And it really, I don't think it's been done really anywhere else. It's really the first of its kind. And basically, it gives the tribe permission to restore and do cultural significant activities on the Wata land. And it also kind of lays out the financial planning and framework, legal framework for this project. And what I mean by that is it actually is paying for the conifer thinning that's going to be going on. So yeah, without that, this project really wouldn't be happening either. So it's very significant that we got that agreement, because with this land that I'm talking about, it's actually on U.S. Forest Service land. So it really is great that they're, signed this document with us and giving us permission to work on Washoe homeland. And then after that, where we are today is we got the 2021 CTC funding through Proposition 68. And this is for the restoration of the project. It's the area is around 300 acres. And this is the really supporting the work that the tribe and I'm going to be doing right now. So it really has to do with the stuff that we're going to be doing after the conifer thinning is done. See. So now just to talk to you about why this land needs restoration. So really, what's been going on is lack of land management. Historically, the Washoe people lived here for as long as we could know, as long as time as we could know. And they would come in here and practice burning, thinning, cultural thinning to, keep the habitat open for culturally desirable foods, plants, and game, medicine, and basket making material. And it also served as a historical summer home for the Washoe people. And now, the tribe would come in there every year after the summer, and they would, periodically burn, and that would maintain the openness of this meadow. But now, what's going on is the Washoe people aren't a part of the land anymore. They were part of the ecosystem, and they made it beneficial, to everything that was going on in this habitat. And now that they're gone, you can see, here's just a picture. This is why I chose this picture. You can see these trees. This is lodgepole encroachment. This is what it would look like if the Washoe people were continuing to live here and manage this land. And now that they're not stewards anymore, it's turning into a forest. And they were removed off the land in the 1850s. And that was due to European settlers came in and they started doing cattle grazing and logging. And now it's caused the unnatural expansion of conifers. And now, there's a lot of non-native plant species in the area, and it's increased wildfire risk, degraded habitat, and reduced cultural values. So really step one of this project is going to be the conifer thinning. And with that, it's going to be 283 acres of land that's going to be mostly mechanically thin. And then maybe a small amount, maybe 10% is going to be hand thin. And this is the type of equipment that's going to be used for this project. This is a rubber tire harvester, and there's also going to be a rubber tire log forwarder is going to be used. And we're going to be operating on slash mats. The slash is basically woody debris that's laid out on the ground, and it's to protect the ground so it doesn't damage the ground too much. And that's also why we're using these rubber tires. Sometimes you see ones with tracks. We're not going to be using that because that's just going to tear up the ground, And yeah, let me play a video for you guys so you can have a better idea of what it's going to look like. Yeah, so that's pretty much a cut to length harvester. You can see it's all cutting them in the same length. And all this biomass is either going to be hauled out or chipped down to the Washoe headquarters, and it's later going to be used for firewood, which is pretty awesome. Do you have a question? The headquarters are actually in Garnerville. Yeah, pretty close to Minden. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, we were able to get another grant to fund the removal of the biomass, which is pretty awesome. And like I said, that's go down to the tribe for firewood. And another thing I want to mention is that none of the thinning is going to be done around stream environmental zones because we don't want to impact that area or the water quality. And also the cultural sites, significant sites in the area have already been flagged off with the black and blue flagging to protect that area. We're not going to be doing any work in that area. So I just want to talk to you too about kind of the operations that went along with this. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of steps that's gone into this just to try to make this happen. It's a huge size, 283 acres. That's the size that they're thinning. I said the 300 acres is the rest of the restoration site, the total restoration site that we're actually going to be doing. And first thing we had to do is we had to get a timber cruise in 2021, and we had to do that with a registered forester with the U.S. Forest Service. Later on, after that, there was a finer conifer removal plan that was decided on with the Forest Service as well in 2022. And then we had to, just recently, we sent out a request for a proposal for bidding for a contractor, and we recently decided on our contractor for this project in 2024. And now, onto the actual work. We have it scheduled finally to happen actually in late this fall. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're actually going to start to do the thinning maybe sometime in November or December. So it's nice to finally see this project is coming along. It's been a long time coming. And yeah, with this project, there's we're going to install signs around the area so that we can warn the users of the hazards, because we want to keep this area open for the public to be able to use and recreate in there, even while the thinning is happening. And also all the activities will be documented by the contractor. such as timber weights and the dates that the thinning is done around the groundwater monitors. And I will actually also be out there in the field monitoring the work. So I'm gonna make sure they're gonna be doing a good job because I really care about this area. And so after the thinning, we're gonna be doing some prescribed burning, cultural prescribed burning in the area. So let me play a video of what it might look like. Yeah, so what you can see here is there's some people using drip torches. That's the thing that they're carrying in their hands, and they're setting line fires. And also, you might notice they're wearing PPE. So this is something that similar to maybe the style that we might be doing in the meadow after the thinning. Um, you know, everything is the prescribed burning. It's most likely going to be done a year after the thinning, because we want to do it most likely in the fall as well, because that way it's going to benefit the woody riparian species and not do any damage to the non-target vegetation. And something that the tribe's been working on is building capacity with fire burning. It's been difficult, but recently we've had a lot of staff members getting trained in fire burning and prescribed burning. And actually, one, including myself, we just got certified for their red card. And yeah, so this is really great because when we go out and do the prescribed burning, we're going to have to go out there with the U.S. Forest Service, and we're going to have a burn plan. And the staff members that are going to participate, they're going to have a red card certified. So it's, yeah, a little bit, different style than, maybe how the Washoe people traditionally did it. But by doing this, it still enables us to get on the land and, you know, practice these cultural prescribed burns, in a way that used to try to replicate what used to happen back in the days. And it's really important, because this fire treatment, not only does it prevent future forest fires, it actually also rejuvenates the ground. Um, and it's important, yeah, because certain plants, culturally significant plants, they are triggered by fire, and their seed bank is triggered by fire, and they propagate when they're exposed to fire conditions, low intensity fire, such as bracken fern and yarrow. Another important thing I want to point out is that we're not going to be burning in any of the stream corridors as well. We don't want to impact the water quality. So after we do some prescribed burning, it's not going to end there. We're going to keep trying to come into this area, and we want to do prescribed burning year after year. It's not just a one and done thing. It's something we want to continue to go out there and do year after year. And along with this, we want to have continue vegetation management and horticultural trainings. So with this, it's important because it allows the us to like cultivate and harvest culturally significant plants, and also we can have cultural burnings or gatherings. I mean, for education and ceremonies. And this is an important way that the Washoe people can practice TEK. So by allowing tribal elders and youth to come out and plant and protect culturally significant plants, it's a way for them to continue the TEK and pass down this knowledge from generation to generation. So this is a really important thing that we want to, implement into this program. Another part of it is the second phase. So this is really after we do the vegetation management and we want to get in there and try to focus on some of the stream restoration. So this is another step of the project. We want to try to stabilize some of the channel instability and incising that's going on. Luckily, the stream is in pretty good condition, but down at the bottom of it, it's getting some incising. So we want to try to fix that, and we're going to try to do that by using native vegetation. And another thing that we would like to do is install interpretive signs. So right now there's like kind of a temporary trail that goes around the meadow. And in the future, we'd like to install maybe some boardwalks and try to actually have some nice signage going around that really highlights the past history use of the Washoe people and maybe point out some culturally significant plants. And then also, talks about the Washoe history. And this is just like one example here, like of a sign that's recently been installed near Lake Tahoe, which is nice, to see that they're finally like, getting credit and, trying to incorporate the Washoe language into the area, And so after we do some of that, another part of the project is we're going to monitor the effectiveness, because we got to see if what we're doing to the meadow, is it actually working, So part of this is we're going to be doing groundwater monitoring. So with the groundwater monitoring, we're going to be using piezometers. That's what's right here. This is a piezometer. So it's basically a metal pole that's been pounded into the ground about 10 feet down and down to the water table. And with that, we have level loggers in there. And the level loggers are basically devices that monitor the pressure. And with that, we can track the water levels in the ground. And right now we have 14 piezometers installed throughout the meadow, but only 10 level loggers. And you might think, well, that's weird. Why don't you have 14 level loggers? Well, that's because actually some of these wells have run dry. And for me, that's just proof already that, the meadow's drying up. And that's what's going on, because the conifers are sucking it up. And we can't even test in those areas anymore because it's too dry. There's no water. You need water to even do the test to begin with. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. And another way that we're monitoring this project is through cultural vegetation plots. So we have currently 10 plots established throughout the meadow right now. They were selected in 2018, and that gave us a baseline. That's the baseline that we're using for the species. And yeah, the plots were selected based on vegetation community type. So we try to get a broad diversity of different areas. And some of the different areas that we've chosen there's grasslands, the conifers, shrubs, and herbivorous areas. And so once with both of these methods, it's really to collect data from the pre and post thinning, and we want to see come back after the thinning is done and do these tests again, and really hope to see some positive differences. We want to see more culturally significant plants coming back, water table increasing, and yeah, that's really the goal of this. And these are just some of the things that we're doing to monitor the area. So not only is this area, Malawata, really important historically for the Washoe Tribe, it's a really important ecosystem. So there's a wide variety of wildlife in this area. It's a potential habitat for amphibians like Sierra yellow-legged tree frog and other aquatic invertebrates. And the wetlands area of the meadow actually provides habitat for black bears and mule deer, chipmunks, and even beaver. You might be thinking, you see this picture right here? This is a picture of the creek, Malawata, and I'm pretty sure these might be beaver dams. And they've found beaver remnants in the creek, so I wouldn't be surprised. But what's interesting about beavers is they can improve stream hydrology and wetland characteristics. However, they're really not a traditional practice of the Washoe people. So it's going to be interesting, to see how they integrate into this ecosystem. Another thing that's pretty interesting too is this area. It can be a vital ground for breeding and nesting grounds of willow flycatcher, which is an important species. And another great benefit of the creek and the meadow is that it's a natural fire break. So the lack of trees and the wetness of the meadow is actually beneficial to preventing catastrophic wildfires. Another really great thing about the meadow is it has a lot of plant diversity. So not only there's many native plants in the area, there's a lot of culture significant plants. Some of these culture significant plants are yarrow, bracken fern, wild onion, willow, mountain strawberry, and wood rose. So these are just some of the culture significant plants that we'd like to propagate and bring back to the area. Also, the plants have a really important, interesting relationship with the meadow. They have a functional relationship. So one of the things they can do is improve water quality. So plants basically can act as a natural filter. So when the water is running through the meadow, it kind of catches all the debris and sediment, and it really prevents all the nutrients from ending up at the end spot, which is Lake Tahoe, which in our area is really important. Everyone, wants to keep the lake really clear, and so that's a big issue. And having these plants in there just naturally acts as a filter, which is great. And it also helps for the water to stay colder, so fish can thrive, especially native fish. Another thing is that it controls flooding. So with the meadow, it helps to store water, and then it slowly releases it throughout the year. And this is really important for keeping the meadow dry. Maintaining a steady supply of water throughout the year. Also, there's the benefit of erosion control. When these plants, have their roots in the soil, and then flooding happens, or water's running through the area, it prevents erosion. So it's going to stabilize the creek bed more and the area more, so there's less channel incising. And lastly, another great benefit is carbon sequestration. So you guys may not know, or you may know, but the meadow plants, they capture carbon dioxide through the air, and they store it. They sequester it in their soil. And this actually is, preventing the overall fight against carbon dioxide pollution in the air. And it's important to note that if this meadow erodes, then all that stored carbon dioxide will be released back into the atmosphere. So another piece of this project is that we want to reintroduce Lahontan Cutthroat Trout. And this really goes along with the phase 2 that I was talking about of this project with the creek restoration. So what's important about this fish, it's also called imgi in the Washoe language. It's the only native fish to the Lake Tahoe Basin. And it's, been eliminated in the area due to overfishing and competition due to a non-native fish such as brook trout and rainbow trout. And it's also listed in the Endangered Species Act, and it's threatened right now. and it's also the largest cutthroat species right now known to exist. And another important reason we want to bring it back, it's culturally significant. So it's been a traditional Washoe food in the past for many years. The Washoe people heavily relied on it, especially in the summertime when they come up to Lake Tahoe. And we want to use this specific strain. It's called a Pilot Peak strain. So it comes from Pilot Peak, Utah, which is pretty interesting because Utah is not really close to this area, but they found this was actually the most original species through DNA testing. That's to the actual native fish that was in the Lake Tahoe Basin. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's actually, this is the largest LCT species that they have right now. So they have it. If you guys are familiar with Pyramid Lake in Nevada, that's where they also have the same species that they're using, and it grows to very large sizes. And that's what we want to bring back to this area, Myalawata. And the reason we want to bring it back is because it's a really great habitat for them too, as well. They used to live there, they used to thrive there, because the LCT, they can go up into the creek and they can spawn upstream. And then when they get older, they can go downstream and live the rest of their lives in the Lake Tahoe. There's just one barrier going on right now, which is a fish barrier. And that's happening on this bridge that is in between Meeks Bay, which is just below Meeks Meadow, and the upper part of Meeks Meadow. There's a little fish barrier where the bridge is, and that's preventing fish from from moving upstream. So we're trying to work on that right now. We're trying to have plans to rebuild the bridge, and it's a really big project going on with Caltrans. And yeah, that's something that we're trying to deal with right now. Another interesting thing is to note that we've already been working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we've been releasing IMGI into the Lake Tahoe, Meeks Bay area. So we've already been doing that. We've already released thousands of fish into that bay. Even just this year, we went out there, and it was really cool to be part of it. But yeah, with that fish barrier being under the bridge, then yeah, it's going to be hard for these fish to come back into Meeks Creek. So just some interesting pictures that I put up here. Right here on the left, this is a Gallus Dungle. This is a traditional Washoe winter house that the Washoe people would build, and it's built with cedar bark. And on the right there, those are traditional Washoe baskets. And the Washoe people were known for making baskets, and what's cool about them is they had different ones. They have some that are tightly woven and used for cooking and for holding water. And they have some that are loosely woven that used for like sifting seeds and nuts. And what's really cool too is they're made with willows, and then they use bracken fern as dye to make the designs. So thank you so much, and I'll open the room up for questions.
That was a great presentation. I've been waiting all day to watch that. My question is, you deal with invasive weeds. Do you have any invasive weeds in that area?
Yeah, it's they're limited, but there is definitely some. I can't remember the name right now, but there's the grasses that they have. There's definitely some invasive species that we have to deal with, but it's more limited, I guess. Yeah, there's just the main problem is really with the lodgepole pines. They're just taking over everywhere in that area.
Okay, I was going to ask perennial pepperweed if you have that.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. But we are gonna go out there with like a we have plans to go out there with the biologists and kind of scout out the area, and that's part of this project too. Is like I need training on different plants. I don't know too much about invasive species, and yeah, I really need some training to go out there and identify that stuff. So yeah, that's something that we want to incorporate into the program.
Hi, my name is Aya, and I had two kind of questions, and one of them is, I went to a TEK training in Chico, and they said that they didn't use heavy machinery to do some of the restoration work, so that they can hire people and pay people, save money on the machinery, save money on the fuel, and then pay people. They pay people $35 an hour to do some of the work, and I'm wondering if that's, viable in this area, to do a job creation thing. And the second one, I went to a forest fish and wildlife presentation last month in the Yosemite area, and they said that they had reintroduced beavers starting last year, and that they do create meadows by cutting down trees and creating pools. And what happened during the gold rush era, the settlers came in with, and drained, they like dug trenches in the meadows to drain them so that they can graze on it. And so what they want to do is, fill those trenches so that the meadows don't get drained, but they don't have a budget for it. They don't have any money to do that. So that's why the beavers have been brought back. Anyway, those are my
Yeah, good questions. So the first one with the mechanical thinning, yeah, it's such a large size of meadow footprint. Like I was talking, 283 acres that we're thinning. It's just really not doable to do the work by hand. It's just, it's already going to take 90 days projected to do the mechanical thinning, and it's just such a large area, and we kind of want to do it all at the making background noise, all like kind of at the same time, because if we try to do like some of it and like we have to wait to do some of it later, then it might cause like flooding in the area, and we might not be able to like cut the trees at a later time. You know what I mean? And so that's pretty much where it goes with that. But with the areas that are like sensitive, like I was talking about the stream environmental zones, those areas we're going to be doing like mechanical thinning, because it's we want to be more careful in those areas, and we don't want to bring like heavy machinery in those sensitive areas like around the creek and stuff like that. So yeah, I've thought about that too, like, and even but after the initial thinning is done, also like I was saying later on, we are like when we come back out in there and do thinning again, because it's not just going to be like a one done thing. We're going to use hand thinning. So yeah, it's something to think about. And then with the beavers, yeah, like I've thought about this long and hard, and I personally think that beaver in the ecosystem is beneficial, but it's hard to say. It's every environment is different. So they could be beneficial in some ecosystems, some they might not be beneficial. But I feel like here they've kind of already are established there, and it's just kind of weird because like it's not something that was traditionally practiced or used within the Washoe Tribe. So
I see.
yeah.
Yeah, well, this is from the Fish and Wildlife, but they said that the beavers did have a big hand in creating meadows and maintaining meadows by cutting those trees down at the fringes that you are cutting down. So that's what they said. Thank you.
Yeah. Good point.
Hi, my name is Megan Smart. I'm from Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. And just because we're talking about beavers, one of our community science groups, this was the first annual Beaver Conference, is also this week in Colorado. So I think beavers so there's some knowledge. So maybe next year we can all try and go to that too. There you go.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be great. Yeah, I'm always interested to learn about beavers. I was watching like a presentation about beaver analog dams, and yeah, I want to learn more about that stuff too. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all, but it's kind of like where they make artificial beaver dams and to use it to try to support the restoration and health of meadows.
It's called pond interlocking.
Oh yeah, pond and plug. Yeah, there you go. That's another way. Yeah.
I teach this stuff.
I'll have to get your contact.
Again, I'm sorry, Tom Gusty, Bishop White Tribe. Who did you get your red card through? And does everybody have to be red carded if they assist with the burns?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, the red card that we got was certified through the U.S. Forest Service, and we basically had a fire training that was put together and through our work, and yeah, luckily we were able to collaborate with the U.S. Forest Service, and we had different organizers there that took us through the basic. I think it's the basic classes, the S20, S200, or S212, something like that,
Yeah.
to get your red card. And then we were able to do the pack test, which you have to do as well. And yeah, that's really important because, like I was saying, all with the prescribed burning, yeah, we do have to be certified, red card certified to be out there. And that's part mainly because, yeah, it's U.S. Forest Service land. And with all the permitting that goes through, doing the burns, we all have to be out there, with the burn plan and the boss, and it all has to be done, with these requirements. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question if you can touch on the funding for the project. What are the pots of funding that the Washoe Tribe has?
Yeah, for this project right now, currently there's 3 main funding sources that we have for this project, and they're all through the California Tahoe Conservancy. So the main one we have is the one through Prop 68, and like I was saying before, that's pretty much for the funding of the restoration of the project. And then the second one we have is the Washoe capacity funding, and that one's really great. That's for building capacity within the Washoe Tribe. It helps support things like doing getting people certified, red card certified, and going out and doing these horticultural trainings, like helping informing people who don't know what out on the ground, and also yeah, the second last part of it is the biomass funding, which I was kind of touched on a little bit before, and that is to help to pays for the removal of all the biomass that's created when they do the thinning. And like I said, that's pretty cool because it's all going to be taken down to the Washoe headquarters, which then they can be used for firewood.
And then maybe can you touch on some of the challenges with the funding that the Washoe Tribe had that you guys had to go through, and maybe working with other agencies and homeowners in the area? Were there any issues with that?
Yes, sir. So yeah, there is definitely some challenges. So with the biomass funding, it's our funding is actually ending at the end of this year for that grant, and so if we don't use all the money for the biomass at the end of this year, then we're going to lose that grant. And so that's why we're really pushing to try to get this meadow thin as soon as possible. And so, because then it's going to be hard to pay to remove that biomass. So that's an issue that we're kind of dealing with right now. Another thing that we've had to deal with is I did forget to mention on the south side of this meadow is a private road that we have to use. And in order to use that road, we had to get a road easement access through the property owners. And yeah, that was interesting. I've never dealt with anything like that. And we just basically met with the property owners and we talked to them, about what the project is. And luckily they were on board with it and willing to work with us. And they gave us permission to use their road. One thing though, that they just want the road to be, in good condition after the work is done. So that's still something that we're trying to figure out, like how are we going to pay for this road maintenance once the work is done, and so there's just things to think about. Yeah, for sure.
All right, one more question. Since the land itself, is it Forest Service land or is it tribal land?
Yeah, so it's a Forest Service land. Yeah.
So you're asking about who's going to pay for it. So we work with the Forest Service down in Mono County, Inyo County, in their area, and they're paying us to do work in their area. So I was like, why can't they give you money to do work on their land?
Yeah, because this specific part of what I'm talking about, it's like it's not their land; it's private property land. So that was the issue. It's like we're trying to do work on private property, so it's like how do we get funding for this? That's not on Forest Service land. That was like the tough part because I guess a lot of the money has to be going to the Forest Service or tribal land, or it's hard to find funding to go to like private property. Yeah.
I just want to mention that I'm the manager of the Washoe Tribe in Nevada and California. Josh has done a great job explaining the project. He's new to our program. So I just want to bring up that through the stewardship agreement, the Forest Service, it allows for just over $1 million for conifer removal for the meadow. We have additional funding through the CTC, through CAL FIRE for the project. And some of the challenges that we face with the project is just like everyone, the whole world shut down with COVID, things like that. So we're working with these other agencies to try to get extensions on all this funding. So building that relationship with the California Tahoe Conservancy has been huge. Working with them, they helped us streamline invoicing, bunch of things like that, and just having conversations with other agencies about these large scale projects like this. They really just can't be on a timetable, especially like for this project where it's weather dependent. We really have our backs against the wall. This looks like it's going to be a dry year, hopefully. So hopefully we could get the meadow thin by November. Hopefully it's going to probably take around 90 days. But yeah, the Forest Service, they really, with the stewardship agreements, paying for a majority of the project. And we also lost a large pot of funding through the National Forest Foundation, our National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. That was a huge pot of money that we lost just because we extended it so many times, just because our department, we had major staff turnover in the past. Once you have that, the project drops off. We bring in a new batch of staff members that bring the project back. I try to extend the NIFWIF funding, but unfortunately we weren't able to. So that was a huge blow to the project, but the California Tahoe Conservancy, they had some extra funds that they were able to allocate to the project. So now the Forest Service, on behalf of the Washoe Tribe, applied for the funding through the CTC. So now the stewardship agreement is now around $1.6 million. And on top of the money that we have, so we're around $2.2 million for the project. So that's where the money for the private road is going to be, if there's any damage to the road, things like that, where we have to go back and pay for any damages, things like that to the road. So those are just some of the pots of funding that we have for the project.
Any other questions? Thank you so much.